So here we have our news update for today, and I'm going to focus on two stories which aren't major headlines of the news. The major headlines of the news are Iran and Gaza, and there isn't really much that's changed on that front. But I'm going to talk about two different things. One is a brand new arms deal that America and Israel just signed, which is for $6.7 billion worth of weaponry that's going to be sold to Israel, American weaponry, and that's an amazing thing for Israel, that Israel gets to purchase even more of the world's most sophisticated weaponry from the United States, and that's a big thank you to Congress and to the Trump administration for making sure that happens. And at the same time, the Trump administration and the Congress both approved a $9 billion sale to Saudi Arabia for Patriot missiles. Now, Patriot missiles, in case you don't know what they are because they're very old, this is like the generation of missile defense before Iron Dome. It's not as effective, which is why we had to come up with Iron Dome. It can only hit certain types of missiles, and Saudi Arabia needs them to ward off a missile attack again from Iran. So that's why Saudi Arabia wants these missiles. And the question really we have to ask is, or how comfortable are we with Saudi Arabia, which right now, although we get along and is not fighting Israel, it does not have peace with Israel? And do we really want the United States to be supplying Saudi Arabia with $9 billion worth of defense material without signing a peace deal with Israel? Or would we prefer that the United States holds that over Saudi Arabia's head and says, listen, when you sign a normalization agreement with Israel, then we'll sell you weapons. Until then, no. So sign a deal with Israel. If the downside of that is that then Saudi Arabia could go to China, could go to Russia for weapons and not use American weaponry, which would then increase China and Russia's influence on the Arab world, which we don't want to happen. So that's an interesting question. But the question I really want you to focus on is this one. Richie Torres is a pro-Israel congressperson from Riverdale. He's not Jewish. He's a Hispanic black homosexual from in the LGBTQ plus community, and probably one of the most pro-Israel members of Congress that there are. And I consider him somebody I admire tremendously, and especially his pro-Israel stance. His opponents in his coming election and his primary are hitting him because he's pro-Israel and saying that he's in the pocket of AIPAC and the pocket of Jewish donors. It borders on anti-Semitism. And the question I have for you is, do you think that we should be embracing the influence and the power that we have as the pro-Israel community, or is that something that we should downplay? In other words, our enemies are saying that we control Congress, we have them in our pocket because we're so wealthy, and we use our wealth and to spread influence. As ridiculous as that is, because the Arabs have a lot more money than us and spend a lot more money than us, but still, obviously, because of anti-Semitism, we get accused of that. But my question is, should the pro-Israel community play that up and say, yes, we exercise just like as we're allowed to, and it's perfectly legal, and there's nothing illicit about it, but we do have power, we do have influence, and we use it? Or is that something that we should downplay? So I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Shalom.